Hello, hello, good afternoon. It's Monica from Life as Art, and this is the Thursday 3:30 p.m. demo at the Tales of Beatrix Potter online crop. And I'm just getting everything situated here. We had a lovely time during Chat and Craft this afternoon. So glad for those of you who were able to join us. And we'll be back on doing more chatting and crafting this evening at 7 o'clock until 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Just to keep in mind that the time change is happening. We're going to spring forward an hour on Sunday morning early, so don't forget to set your clocks ahead. And so this afternoon, we're going to be looking at one of the stamp sets in the catalog, one that I found particularly cute, which is the Happy Snail Trails stamp set. Pardon me, hiccups. And there are 4 different little snails on here, some different mushrooms, a lovely little rainbow, some mail, and then we've got Don't Hurry, Be Happy, Happy Trails, you've got mail, Hello Sunshine, and You're Amazing. And there's also a little stitched snail trail happening there. So we're going to be using that, and we're going to use it in conjunction with the Gnomes for Spring promotion that's happening currently. And I think it goes till the end of the month, the Gnomes for Spring. So if you haven't had a chance to look at that, you can go on the website, lifeisart.closetomyheart.ca, and go under promotions and see the Gnomes for Spring. We've been going through the whole year. So there was fall, winter, spring, and hopefully there will be summer gnomes before we're done. So let's get started. And I'm going to be using one of our pre-scored card bases. This is a standard 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Comes scored, and you just fold with the bump side of the score line to the inside of your card. Always fold with the bump to the inside. Crease it down, and we're going to create a vertical card. And I would like to say that this card was totally inspired by a very creative fellow close to my heart maker, Laura Beacham. And if you're on Facebook following her, it's Laura Beacham's Creative Pages, I believe. I will double check and I'll post it when I post all the information on the video and also on the event. So Laura Beacham showed this similar idea, but she used different papers, different colors, but it was also with the snail trail. But I even changed which stamps I used. So just love her creative style. So we're going to start out first with a mat of Espresso cardstock. And this is one of the coordinating colors for the Gnomes for Spring collection. And this cardstock has been cut to 4 inches by 5 1/4. And I'm going to stick that down to my card front first. Just like so. Cardstock, if you haven't been on the website since the beginning of March, is currently all on sale. It's Cardstock Carnival. And so you can save money on single color packs. There are some bundled color packs. And also an entire, like, every color in the collection pack, which is, it's a whole carnival of color. If you're joining me live, just say hello or howdy so I know you're here. And if you're watching later on replay, you can say replay. I'm going to bring in now a piece of the pattern paper from the Gnomes for Spring. Now, one side of this paper actually has the little gnomes on it and some snails and different icons for spring. But the back side doesn't have any gnomes, and it's got the little snails and watering cans and the little birds, and it's got a different colored background. This side's more green, this side's more glacier colored. And so this has been cut to 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. And I'm going to go ahead and adhere this down to my card front as well. There we go. And we're just going to center it right on the center of that espresso. So far, Not a hard card. It's not a hard card at all. It's a really fun, creative way to use any kind of stamped images and just getting nice. This is very color blocking, which I like. So there is our Gnomes for Spring pattern paper on there. It looks lovely with that espresso. That's the color that's featured in the watering can, and also these little bits there that kind of look like ants, I think. And then even in some of the snails, their bodies are sort of that espresso color. So it's nice to pick up on that deep color in the collection. Then we're going to bring in some colors. So I've got some colors of cardstock here that coordinate with the collection. I have Honey Butter, Limeade, and Flamingo, which are a nice combination. You can see they're picking up on the colors in the pattern paper. And these have all been cut to 1 5/8 squared. And 5/8 is halfway between 1.5 and 1 3/4. So 1 5/8. And I want to layer them up again with a mat of espresso cardstock. So I've got 3 mats of espresso cardstock, and these are 1 3/4 inch. So first we're going to attach these to the espresso, and then we're going to attach them to our card. So we're just going to center them, and they're going to leave a nice little border of the espresso to match the border that's already happening on the card front there. There we go. There's one. And the Limeade, and I'm using the true color side of all of these colors. Sometimes I work with the light side. Sometimes I work with the true color side. And these are using the true color side. And there we go. And then the last one, the Flamingo. Attaching these on there. Hello, Joanne. Nice to see you're watching. I see my mom is here too. Hi, Mom. Everybody's finding the video. Everybody got some lunch. Got some things done. Maybe you've been playing the games or doing some crafting on the challenges. Now, our 3 color blocks, we're going to go ahead and add some adhesive to the back of these as well, and we're going to stick them down to our card front. Now, recently, when I've been doing videos, you've heard me say, I'm out of foam tape, which is true. I don't have any foam tape. However, I had a brilliant brainwave. One of those moments where I was like, oh man, why didn't I think of that? And you know what I thought of? I thought of the fact that I have some shaker shapes, you know, some shaker panel acetates and foams, and inside those are all the little squares of foam tape. And I thought, gosh, I know that those exist, and yet I didn't think of it when I ran out of foam tape that I had all the little foam squares. So we're going to be able to do some popping on this card, which is great because it's going to look awesome. And so what we're going to do is we're going to attach this square here, maybe, how far down? What is that? 7/8 of an inch. 1, 2, 3, yeah, 7/8 of an inch from the top and maybe 1/4 of an inch in, give or take. And then let's add on our Limeade one. And this one's going to go off to the left side. I'm using my tweezers so that my fingers can be out of the way and I can kind of see all the bits and pieces that I want to see. And we're just going to stagger this one. I'm just kind of working off the other one. I'm making sure I'm keeping my spacings about the same, but I want to drop this one down maybe 1/2 inch. And then I'm going to come in with the third, the Flamingo. So we got our Honey Butter, our Limeade, and our Flamingo here. And this one, we're going to overlap both of these other two. So it's going to be pretty much in the center of the card. And it's just going to come a little bit up on top of that Honey Butter. It's going to cover about just under 1/4 of the green. And center that on there from side to side, hopefully centered. We're trying. sometimes you just gotta try. And then we need to do some stamping. So let's shift this out of the way. We're gonna bring in our stamp set. Actually, I've already got my stamps out, but we're going to be using the rainbow here and this cute little snail with a little flower on its shell and this little cluster of 3 mushrooms. And so let me just grab a piece of cardstock. Gotta grab some cardstock out of my drawer of cardstock bits. And I'm going to use intense black ink for this because we want to do some coloring. So let's go ahead. Let's do our snail first. Ink up this cute little snail. Stamp it on down there. And then we've got our little cluster of mushrooms right there. And then the final one is this cute little rainbow. And maybe we'll turn it this way just to make sure. I'm sure it would have been fine the other way, but you know, we'll just do something a little different for a second. And then I also want to do our sentiment. And the sentiment I'm going to use is the Hello Sunshine, which is the same sentiment that Laura used on her, and it just seems to work really well. I was looking at the other ones, you're amazing, things like that, and I was like, I really want the Hello Sunshine because I want this to be a kind of any occasion type of card, a happy mail kind of card. So we're going to set that aside, and I'm going to bring in a piece of Espresso cardstock for this. And let me just make sure I want it on the dark side of the Espresso. And I'm going to do some heat embossing. So I've got my white embossing powder. I've got my Versamark ink. I've got my anti-static pouch, which we're going to use first. This helps to keep the embossing powder from sticking all over the cardstock where it doesn't belong. We only want it to stick where we're going to be doing our stamping. Going to bring in a scrap piece of paper as well. And it's going to do 2 things. It's going to give me a white border around this dark piece of cardstock so that my terribly bad eyesight, I can still see where I'm stamping. And it will also help us collect up our embossing powder when we dump it all over. So we're just inking this up with our Versamark ink. I'm going to actually stamp it near the end. And I'm scooching this closer to myself so I can see what I'm doing. Just stamping that on there. Hello, sunshine. And then I've got my white embossing powder. Take the lid off. And this stuff lasts forever. Like, in all the years I've been doing heat embossing, I think this is my 2nd jar of white. Like it lasts a good long time. So we just shook that off, gave it a little tap, and then we can funnel our white embossing powder back into the jar and put the lid back on. Always important to put the lid back on. Put those back over there. And then bring in our heat tool. And I like to do my heat embossing up in the air. It keeps the heat from doing anything to my work surface, and it also actually helps emboss faster because the hot air can swirl around the paper and heat everything up. And all you do is just wait. You don't need to shake your heat tool for any reason. In fact, it's probably not great for your heat tool to get jiggled and jostled around because those little filaments inside that are getting hot become more fragile when they get hot. It's kind of like a light bulb. And so if you're shaking it while it's hot, you could wreck it. We don't want to wreck our tools, right? So let's bring our stamped images back in. Oh, and let's also rub off the last little bits of that, what am I thinking of? Anti-static pouch. And I just rub it back and forth on my pants to get rid of that. And let's trim the end so it's about the same on both ends. And there we go. Our sentiment's ready to go. Set that aside. Let's do some coloring. And I've got 4 colors of Spectrum Noir Tri-Blend markers that I'm going to use for this. I'm going to use the pale pink shades, the light yellow blend, the ice blue, and the light green. So those are the 4 colors to do all of this coloring. All right, let's start out with, let's do our rainbow first on the end. So we're going to start with the pale pink shades and the lightest color first. And we're going to do this outside arc all the way around. Like that. We're not going to do any shading or anything on these. These are small images. Then I'm going to jump to the mid color. I like that all these colors are all together in the same marker so that you don't have to try and figure out where you're going with the colors. And we're just going to do those little scallops. I think it's kind of fun to add a little deeper color on those scallopy edges, make them show up a little bit more. There we go. And these are so tiny, like you're just barely touching the marker to the page when you're doing fine little details like that. There we go. Last one. And then we're going to switch and we're going to go to the light green. And I don't remember. Was I using the lightest? Yes, I was. I'm going to use the lightest of the light green, and I'm just going to do this next solid. You'll notice that some of these arcs don't have ends on them. So the ones that don't have ends, I'm leaving blank. I'm just leaving them as white. So I'm just going around with that lightest of the light green. Then I'm going to jump to the ice blue. And I'm going to just double check here. Am I using that one or that one? This is what's good about having space on the side to test your colors, because you can decide, let me try the light one, and then, yes, it was the light one. That's what I wanted to use, because that'll look nice with the glacier that we've got going on there. And then we've got that little heart in the middle as sort of the focal point for our image. So we're going to come back in with that light pale pink and just color that heart in as well. There we go. Now this stamp set could be purchased with dies. However, you know me, I did not. So we're going to have to fussy cut that later. Let's also come in with the mid of the pale pink and color the tops of our mushrooms. Our mushrooms can be dark pink or mid pink. Sure they can. We're making them all matchy-matchy. And again, we're not going to do any shading. We're just filling in where the color needs to go. Keeping it simple. This is going to kind of look a bit like an animation-y type of drawing or a coloring book type of thing, right? Just that kind of just straight coloring. Then we're going to come in with the pale pink for the stems, or the stalk of the mushroom. Stem or stalk? I think they're stems, I guess. And just color those in. And then I'm going to leave the underside of the mushrooms blank, but then I'm going to come in with the mid of the light green for the little tufts of grass here. Super quick. A little punch of green there. And then our little snail. Let's do some pale pink on this little daisy. She's got tucked in her shell like that. And then from the blue, we're going to come in and color our shell with the lightest of the light blue, or the ice blue? Yes, ice blue. The lightest of the ice blue. And because we're doing a large kind of area here and I don't want to have weird streaks, I'm going to make little circles. Does anybody else do that when they have to fill in a decently large size area with coloring? If you do little circles, it sometimes makes it a little less streaky, maybe. It does kind of almost give it a little bumpy texture, but I think that kind of works for a snail shell. you know, they're not super smooth. And then we'll just fill in all the way to the center. And if you go over it a second time, which we might do, that can also help to smooth out some of those marks from coloring and also give it a little bit deeper color. There we go. It's still the same kind of color, but it just kind of fills it in a little more. Anywhere where it's soaked into the paper real good. All right, all the way around and around the snail shell. I should look up. There is a thing about snails. And even though they have one foot, they can be right or left-handed. Weird knowledge that I have sometimes. We're going to jump now to the light yellow, and we're going to go to the mid color, and we're going to color the little antennae, and then color our little snail. We're going to avoid the little dots there, the little texture dots on the foot of the snail. And the right or left-handedness has something to do with the way that the shell swirls. I don't know, maybe somebody knows, could write it in the comments what the deal is with that. But one of my kids had to do a little project on snails at one point, and we learned that. They can be right or left-handed, even though they only have one foot. All right, let's rough cut these out, and then we're going to fussy cut all the way around. Oh my gosh. This little snail is just so cute. I love the little eyelashes. Like, who thought of eyelashes on a snail? So sweet. So cute. And then the little flower. She's such a dainty snail. Looks like she's been to the spa. Been pampered. There we go. I wonder if there is such thing as a snail spa. All right, and then our mushrooms, we're going to cut around those as well. All the way. Now, I did take a look at how the dies cut the images. Sometimes if you're trying to figure out how to fussy cut something, if you look at the outline on the stamp set, it'll show you where the dies would naturally cut it. And so that can kind of give you an inkling as to, you know, how much space to leave and all that. But when I looked, I noticed that the rainbow is just cut in a straight curve around all these lovely little scallops. And because I'm me, I think that I want to highlight those lovely little scallops. So I'm actually going to take the time and just do little curvy lines around these little scallops, because if we're going to fussy cut it anyway, we might as well make it look unique, right? And with snails, it's all about the curves. There we go. All the way around. Hey, Barb, nice to see you're watching. Hello, hello. Yes. Barb is saying, don't forget the thumbs up button. I think that's the like button. If you like the video, is that what you're saying, Barb? To push the thumbs up button? You can totally do that. I'd let you. Hey, Deborah. Yes, they are cute snails. I'm loving them. All right, so we've got all our little guys ready to go here. We have our sentiment ready to go. So let's now, remember I said I had that brainwave during Chat and Craft that I have these shakers that, of course, they've got the ring for the small circle shaker. But look at all those foam pop dot type things that I've got in there. Oh my goodness. Can't believe that I forgot about such things existing. So we can go ahead and pop all these little guys up. Easy peasy. And even some of the little curved edges are great if you got to get into a small space like this one. It'll go nice on our little snail's head there. And there we go. Look at that. Who knew? I knew, but I forgot. All right. In fact, I had to go looking quite a bit because I knew I had bought some of these little ones, and I knew I had probably used all of the foam dots out of all my other ones, so I had to find these particular ones. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to put our rainbow there on the nice sunny honey butter color block. This is a fun idea, and this is why it's part of the demo, is a fun idea of using these types of things. We're mixing two different things. We've got gnome paper and snail stamp set, but we're color blocking based on the pattern paper and then kind of matching it with our markers, and it kind of ties everything together. So then our little mushrooms are actually going to overlap onto our flamingo, just like that. We don't mind. And then our last little guy here, the little snail. I'm using my tweezers to help me get things lined up. The snail's going to go here in the flamingo spot. And then we have our sentiment that we can add. I'm not going to pop him up. I just think that those three images look nice popped up like that. And then let's get this guy kind of centered below that middle square. Hello, sunshine. You know what? I might move if I can. If I can do it successfully. If I didn't push too hard on the foam tape. I'm going to scooch this just a little bit so that there's a little bit of space between it and the snail. That's better. There we go. Don't want to get them all crowded. They don't need to feel crowded. And then we were discussing this afternoon too, in that I needed a little bit of bling. It just kind of goes with the territory. So we've got some clear and some bitty sparkles. I'm so sad. Bitty sparkles are now unavailable on the website. They have retired. It's going to be happening more and more as things get cleared out of inventory. But let's go ahead and add some clear sparkles on here. We'll add this nice little one here, kind of just above our sentiment. We're going to grab a bitty sparkle and have a little bitty sparkle beside it. And then we'll grab another clear sparkle over here by this part of the sentiment. And then maybe a couple more bitty sparkles up here by our little mushrooms. And that gives us a total of 5 little blings on there, which we like. We like those odd numbers. We've got 3 color blocks. So cute. 3 stamped images, even 3 little mushrooms. But creating such a fun design. And once again, this was inspired by a card that was posted by Laura Beacham. She used different paper. She used different stamped images from this stamp set and different colored cardstocks, but this layout idea was from her. So if you follow her on Laura's creative pages, you will see that posted there. And so there we go. We started out with our plain white daisy card base, added on our layer of espresso cardstock for matting behind that pattern paper, and I think those colors work well together. That espresso is the nice deep color that makes everything pop and kind of gives some space between the colorful background and our lovely colorful stamped images. Then, of course, more espresso matting with the Limeade, honey butter, and flamingo cardstocks. And then those fun stamped images from the Happy Snail Trails stamp set. And our little Hello Sunshine that's been heat embossed on the espresso too. And a little bit of bling for shine. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing that card come together and are inspired to create with your Gnomes for Spring collection and Happy Snail Trails stamp set. And we will be back on at 7 o'clock for chat and craft this evening. And then we'll start everything again tomorrow, bright and early, 9 o'clock in the morning. So hang in there. Happy crafting with your challenges. Enjoy the games and learning about the Tales of Beatrix Potter. And we'll see you again soon. Toodaloo. Bye.